what people imagine yoga to be versus what it really is. All right, so let's really go over what the third limb of yoga is, asanas. Asanas are the poses of yoga. They are your physical practice, your physical embodiment, and they're important because they tie your mind, body, and soul together. Your routine doesn't have to be this big, magnificent routine of inversions or stretchiness. It can be a few simple poses of your favorite poses, but the importance is practice because it brings you into the present. So meeting yourself at the mat, finding your body here helps you come into the moment, finding the stretches, how your body feels and how you respond. I'm going to go over 7 poses I think will help you confidently join your first yoga class if you've never taken yoga before. You can join any yoga class without any knowledge ever. Your instructor should make you feel welcome and you should leave feeling better, never worse. I've never taken a yoga class. I've never met myself at the mat and left feeling worse, ever. So here's your sign to start now. But these are 7 poses that you can take in almost any form of yoga to feel more confident in learning and knowing what the instructor's saying. Now, I am training in vinyasa practice yoga, which is just more of a flow yoga, but these poses are found throughout all types of yoga, no matter what class you take, and I think they'll just be helpful to learn. So I'm going to start with the first couple poses, and then we'll go over each one. I think important poses to know are chaturanga, which is an active pose, and we'll go over that, which can go into down dog, which is an inversion pose, and some instructors consider it a rest pose. I do not. I think it's an active pose, but once you get more experienced, you may find that it's restful for you. Child's pose, which is one of my favorites, and you should have it in your arsenal because if there's ever a pose you can't do, you can always resort to child's pose. It's a rest pose, it's a recovery pose, and it works beautifully in between all the flows. Cat, cow, and table. This is kind of an all together in one pose. And then mountain pose, which is your restful pose standing. And then finally the best one, the last one, savasana, the last pose or corpse pose. And the purpose of savasana is to remove fatigue. We do it at the end of every class. Don't skip your savasana. It's when you integrate everything you've learned about your mind, body experience, but it's also when you can remove all the fatigue from your yoga, draw your energy back and rest and kind of seal your course and with a beautiful namaste. So let's go over the poses a little bit and then we'll make like a quick flow out of them if you'd like. So the first pose is chaturanga, and it's a 4-limb stick pose. And if you've ever been told to hold plank, that's basically chaturanga. But let's turn it into a flow. So we'll do chaturanga to down dog. So you'll hold a plank, you try to have a neutral spine and active core. When you go into up dog or down dog, you want to make sure your core is tight. Now let's go into up dog, which sounds not like the pose we're about to do. So when you chaturanga down, you want to go forehead, chest, hips, and make sure your elbows are tucked in close to your body. Then you can come into a sphinx or an up dog, wherever you can meet your body at. You can go back down, and we're going to go straight into a down dog. I'll show you multiple ways you can go into this for however your body is at. You can go back to plank, straight into down dog. Now, I have great ankle dorsiflexion. My ankles bend really well here, but you can be on your tiptoes. You can pedal it out. Either way, you want equal weight on your hands and your feet here. This is your recovery pose, but for me, I have to be active. I need to be actively pushing down in between my shoulder blades and into my ankles, so I consider it an active pose. So let's go chaturanga again. So we're gonna go head, shoulders, hips, into whatever form you'd like. Up dog. Now, if it's harder for you or you're not there yet with your core, you can always come through the down dog in table, which is why it's another important pose to learn. This is table. You can come through here and go into your down dog. Then you can go back through table. And on your knees, you can chaturanga. Head, shoulders, hips. Just meet your body wherever it's at. And let's go over cat and cow now. So this is table. Table is neutral spine. You'll hear your instructor cat and cow, and you're thinking, how do I breathe during that? First of all, let's go over which pose is which. This is a hollowed out heavy cow, okay? So think the cow's big belly and their back is hollowed out. Cat, cow, and then cat when he's frightened and he bows up really big. Now try to take a breath in this pose. It's nearly impossible, right? So your breath is going to be inhale on cow, exhale on cat. And the goal of breathing in yoga is to continuously flow. Try not to hold your breath. You can do a long inhale. Exhale while you're moving. The only wrong way to breathe in yoga is to stop breathing. Don't do that. All right, the next pose is one of my favorites. So if there's a pose you can't do, you can't get into, or you're just fatigued in the middle of a session, hit this pose. Your instructor's automatically gonna go, oh, she's cooked here before, because she knows that this is her rest and her recovery pose. And it's child's pose. So you wanna come together with your feet together, take your knees apart about as wide as your mat, and touch your big toes together. Then you're just gonna bring your hands forward, place your third eye or your forehead on the mat, and release. Release any tension you can here in your shoulders, in your head, in your arms, in your back. And you hold this for however long you need to during a session. And then just jump right back in once you've recovered. Again, this one's called child's pose. And if you need more extension or more stretch in your arms, you can turn it into more of an active pose, and you can tent your fingers up. You'll feel a bigger stretch in your shoulders. I like to take my third eye and roll it around, massage it on my mat. Child's pose. All right, so we've gone over chaturanga. We've gone over down dog, cat, cow, and table, which is kind of a move all in itself, right? And child's pose. So let's go over the last two. These are resting poses. So mountain is your standing resting pose. This is where you'll do a lot of your breath work. This is where if you're in a really spicy, like warm flow, a lot of times your instructor will say, all right, meet me in mountain. So mountain is basically just keeping an upright spine, your hands by your side, and your legs straight. You can have a slight bend in your legs. And this is usually where she gets you to do a cleansing breath, or just a spot to get everybody to meet them back at a unified pose that almost anyone can do. So again, mountain pose is standing. It's just standing. You're upright like a mountain. Your spine is tall. You're neutral. Your hands are by your side. You're comfortable. This is a rest pose. And then finally, let's go over our last one, Savasana. Savasana is corpse pose at the end of every class. So your instructor will say, let's go into Savasana at the end of every yoga flow, because this is again where our body recovers and rests. And it's literally being a corpse. So you're laying down, you're putting your feet in whatever position is neutral for you. So mine's a little bit wider than the mat. Every pelvis is going to be different. You might be closer together, you might be further out, and your hands just relax by your side. And this is where I like to scan my body to see where I'm holding any tension. And it's almost always in my jaw and my mouth. So I scan my body and I say, can I relax my arms anymore? Can I relax my fingers, my feet, my toes, my mouth, my jaw? Find where you're holding any tension and release it. This is your time to be present in your body, to recover, to release tension. And if this is hard on your back, you can place a block under. You can put your legs together. You can place some blocks under your knees. You can go into a cobbler if this is more comfortable. You can bring your knees in and together, whatever is a restful recovery pose here. This is Savasana. All right, let's make a quick flow out of this. What do you think? All right. So let's start in mountain and let's take a cleansing breath. One more. Deep inhale through the nose. Loud exhale through the mouth. And then let's come down into table. You can find table any way that's suitable for you. Neutral spine. And let's cat and cow. Inhale on your cow. Exhale on your cat. From here, I want you to find down dog. You take your feet, you flip them under. You're going to go straight into down dog. This is your inversion pose. If your ankles are really tight here, pedal them out. You can take a little bit wider stance. And press your head down and through your shoulder blades. Try to keep a neutral spine here. From here, we're going to go into chaturanga. So I'm going to go straight into plank. You can go in through table if you need to. I'm going to bring my hands a little further out for me and my long limbs. And I'm going to go plank into chaturanga. So elbows tucked in by my side. And I'm going to go head, shoulders, hips. I like to come into an up dog, a sphinx, wherever you're at here. And I'm going to push back down through another down dog. I'm going to drop my knees and I'm going to come into child's pose. So my knees are going to be wide as my mat. My big toes are going to come together. I'm going to push my chest down, my forehead to the mat. And I'm going to rock back and forth, massaging my third eye. Couple breaths here. I'm going to come up through table. Then we'll flip over into our last pose, Savasana. Arms out, legs out. Release any tension sitting in your body. Release any negative energy. I call back my positive energy and my divine will. All right, and then I like to end class in namaste. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Namaste, guys. Let me know what you think.